Well, with me now for more insight on how this new rule will affect Huawei's overall business is Tao Zhang. He's the founder and managing director of Dao Ventures. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Rachelle.
So for people who aren't familiar, break down this latest rule. How is it different from what we've already seen in terms of its scope and its impact?
I think it's basically taking things to the next level. And because Huawei has existing business in the US, it's not a lot, but they do business with some of the rural regional carriers, state level government agencies. So they're still serving these clients. So basically, with this rule, Huawei won't be allowed to continue to do business with these organizations, unfortunately.
Now, it's interesting because Huawei also got dragged into the overall trade tensions between the US and China. How do you see this Huawei issue affecting those negotiations?
I definitely think the Huawei issue is being tangled with the overall trade dispute or trade war between the US and China. And Huawei has been leveraged as a bargaining chip, so to speak, especially on the US side. So Huawei is in an unfortunate position to be like that, to be taken advantage as a bargaining chip. But in a way, it is a victim of its own success because this is probably one of the few global companies coming from China.
Now, you mentioned this idea of sort of being a victim of its own success, and we know that they got dragged into this chip issue now.
Right.
How do you see that affecting not just the suppliers in this very interconnected supply chain, but also the progress of this 5G technology being rolled out?
I think Huawei is definitely going to continue with this R&D, with this whatever progress they're making with 5G technology. I think what is happening as far as 5G is concerned, the loss is more on the US side. I think the US is not taking advantage. Actually, the big amount of R&D dollars Huawei has invested in 5G technology. So they want to probably have their own version of 5G technology. And on the other hand, the ban on Huawei, right, buying components from a number of U.S. technology companies also cost U.S. a lot of jobs and business opportunities.
And it's saying not just Huawei that got rolled into this new rule. Talk about some of the other companies affected by this and what their reaction has been.
I don't think they are happy about this situation, but I think Huawei is probably the more prominent case. And compared with Huawei, those other companies are much smaller.
And obviously, we have a lot of countries being essentially forced to choose between working with Huawei and as this pressure from the US comes on and its allies
right.
to not work with them. How do you see that affecting, I know we talked about the challenges, Huawei's chairman then talked about the challenges this year and next year. How do you see that all playing out?
I think it's playing out, definitely not in Huawei's favor. But I think Huawei is a resilient company. I think it didn't take one day for Huawei to get where it is today. I don't think Huawei will disappear right quickly. I think Huawei will figure out its strategy on a moving forward basis. I think probably the U.S. needs to, especially companies on the U.S. side, need to examine their strategy without Huawei, right? So without Huawei being part of it, say either being without Huawei being a client or without Huawei being a partner, what are they going to do, right? So I think that's because Huawei is a global company and is technology-wise is a globally integrated ecosystem, right? Huawei is definitely a key part of it nowadays.
And to that point, I know that there's been a lot of focus just on the smartphones, but in terms of Huawei's overall business, how do you see this issue with the US affecting what else Huawei has going on?
This definitely will have some significant material impact on Huawei's consumer business. The ban and everything else the U.S. is doing to Huawei. So Huawei, Huawei on the enterprise side, Huawei does not have a lot of business in U.S. So it's mainly on consumer business Huawei is doing. Not just in China, but also globally. If Huawei is not allowed to, say, use Android operating system or Google Play, Google services, all this technology they rely on for their smartphone business.
So just quickly, what's next for Huawei as you look ahead and look at some of the markets that they perhaps might focus more on?
I think Huawei last week they launched their own so-called Harmony OS, their own operating system for smartphones and other mobile devices. I think Huawei will probably focus on doing that, but it won't. It's going to take time for them to develop the ecosystem, right? Based on their own operating system. But like I said, Huawei will figure it out. It's a resilient company. It didn't take Huawei one day to get where it is today. It definitely won't disappear that quickly. And Huawei is being backed up by China market. It's a huge market and some other big markets in international as well.
Indeed, we'll be watching this space. Thank you so much.
Right.
Tao Zhang, their founder and managing director of Dao Ventures.